secret stash, illegal funds from banker bonuses.
I'm milling about with Sam Benjamin, and he is the co-writer and star of the Payday. Hey, Sam.
Hi, how's it going? It's an honor to join the illustrious roster of milling about guests.
I love you already. I love you already. Listen, who now? What is this background? Tell everybody what's behind me.
What's behind you?
Yeah, do you
now you're
recognize it from the movie?
Oh, it's Geneva.
Oh,
Is it? Is it?
Is it?
Is it?
I'm quizzing you.
It looks like it's Geneva, but I wouldn't put my house on it.
It is from the movie.
Oh, is it a location in London? This is getting embarrassing now. Come on. For those listening without visuals, I'm making a fool of myself.
Rewind. This is a set from your film.
No way. I think. Wow. Well, there we go. There we go. I only wrote it and I'm in it, so I shouldn't be expected to know these things.
Well, you co-wrote it with like your bestie, right? You and Kyla Frye know each other forever.
Yes, so the film is The Payday. It's co-written by myself and the other star, and I would say the leading lady of the movie, Kyla Frye, and we've known each other since 2011. We came up together in the London acting scene, and it was a bit of a Matt Damon, Ben Affleck type situation of years of going into the business and doing some good stuff, but thinking, oh, why is no one seeing us in these kind of roles? Then we got together, drank copious amounts of coffee, and started to brew ideas.
Say something else.
Started to brew ideas for a movie that tapped into the kind of movies that we loved growing up, and also tapped into our natural energies as well.
So now here you are, you're good friends, and you have to make out. So how awkward is that?
Robin, straight in with the key questions.
Oh, yeah.
That was I mean, it's a weird, I guess it's a weird thing anyway to explain to someone who's not an actor. I've known many actors who've had partners who are not in the business really struggling with hi, I'm going to work, honey, and I'm going to be making out with the same person again for the next week. So yeah, I guess it was for me it wasn't weird because there's a separation that happens when you're in a scene and when you're playing a character. And also, I had to do several years ago the first sex scene I ever had to do on film. As fate would have it, the actress playing the scene partner was someone who I actually used to go out with. So you'd think it'd be awkward, but in that instance, I think if you have trust with someone and you have like almost like a back catalog of experiences that you can rely on for that trust, I think it can be a more safer space, so to speak, and it can actually be more easy than a total stranger. But yeah, it's just a weird one all around, that scenario, no matter what it is. But
who was the actor and who is the movie and what was the movie? Can you fess up?
I can't. I mean, the movie. Nobody saw the movie. It was a British independent movie that makes it sound like it was a porno. It wasn't. It was a British independent movie, and it was one of the first movies I did, and I don't even know if that scene was actually in the final cut. So I'm not going to name it, but it wasn't a huge movie. I'll just say that.
Can you imagine you're like so nervous and it doesn't even make the final cut?
Yeah. Guys, your sex scene was so subpar that we're going to cut it from this film.
So I really loved The Payday. It was a lot of fun. I kept thinking two things about you. You're very much Tom Cruisian, if you will, and also James Bondian, if you will. I love the Warner Brothers cup.
Oh yeah, there's a Warner Brothers Cup, which doesn't help with the James Bond appeal. But well, thank you. I will. I mean, Tom Cruise is one of my. I guess it's one of those weird things. I don't know whether you've had other actors on say similar things. Of you might have an actor. I remember going to see the first Mission Impossible movie when I was about 9 or 10, and it absolutely blew me away. And after growing up with people like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold and Van Damme and people like that in action movies, that my dad would watch with me on a Saturday, watching Tom Cruise, it was the first time when I was like, oh, he's kind of in the realms of what I might look like.
And really look like.
And then, but also he is one of my favorite actors, so I'm inspired by him and I study his work. But then also I think, you know, I've been likened to him sometimes, so it's one of those double-edged things where sometimes people see it and yeah, I guess he is one of my influences.
Can you run like Tom Cruise?
No, I don't have the running skills. Running was never my. I was in school. I was the guy who wasn't very fast, but I was ridiculously determined. So if it was a short, if it was like 100 meters, I was going to get roasted. But if it was like a long haul slog, I usually did all right because I just the power of the mind. I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to Rocky this thing. I'm going to keep going. So I guess that the determination, yes, but the speed and technique, I think Tom is unrivaled.
Oh, you could play his younger brother in a heartbeat.
Oh, there we go. It'd be a dream movie to do that. And obviously James Bond is, you know, the role that any British actor would dream to play as well.
Ooh, okay. Are we saying maybe that you might have been approached at some point, or
I haven't. I've been approached by the man in Whole Foods. But aside from that, no, not yet. Not yet. But you know, who knows? Let's see what happens when this film comes out. But I think every time a British actor is seen in a suit and doing some kind of suave things, there's usually rum. Hang on a minute. So I don't mind that, Robin. So please continue pushing this.
oh, I will. And I think you will have been like the first James with a Liverpool accent, which could be so charming. That would be very interesting. Just
I mean,
saying.
that would be interesting. There'd also be a very good like spoof version of it where it was like very Liverpool, but yeah, I think
Where you couldn't understand a word he said.
yeah, it'd be like, all right, mate, I'm James Bond. What are we doing here? Are we killing some baddies or what? We could have a lot of fun with it. No, I think if the Broccolis approached me for Bond, I think I would be offering up a version of the character that honored where he was actually from. But you know, we'll see.
Well, I want to hear about the stunts from the Payday. You obviously did your own stunts, yeah.
Yes, so in that way, Tom Cruise will be proud.
So what was that like to shoot some of those stunts?
It was so my main experience of stunts so far has been I did a movie called I Am Vengeance Retaliation, which is on
Netflix.
I think it's still on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was with Vinnie Jones and WWE's Stu Bennett. And that was the first instance of being thrown in the deep end with a cast who was mainly some kind of fighter. There was a pro wrestler, there was a jiu-jitsu person. Robin, someone's at the door. I'm so sorry. Can we pause this?
Sure.
I'm so sorry. Hang on. I will explain in 1 second.
Okay. Is that why you left? So you could get headphones?
I didn't leave to get headphones. It was because this is so. I just thought I've just got to go with it because I can't miss being on the show with you. There was a problem with my sink earlier in my flat, so somebody's in trying to fix it. So I'm sorry about that. I didn't want to cancel.
No worries. So we were talking about the stunts.
So so I had a bit of experience on I Am Vengeance Retaliation, and then after that it was it was one of those where when you're doing lower budget films and there wasn't really, because in the Payday there is some stunts, but it's not it's not like a Mission Impossible movie in terms of flying off buildings and things. So I've had a little bit of experience. I actually, a good friend of mine is a stuntman, and we did a skill swap where I teach him acting and he teaches me some martial arts. So that was helpful. And then I grew up watching pro wrestling. So I'd like to think I absorbed some of that through the television.
Didn't you direct something about a wrestler, or you played a wrestler?
I've directed a short film called Screw Job, which is the basis of what I'd like to make as a feature film. It's my directorial debut, and it's in post-production. It's nearly finished, so I'm looking forward to sending that to festivals.
So you were a wrestler in the film.
I wasn't a wrestler. I play what they call a booker, who is the man who sets the matches and the formats for the events that happen. And it's about his relationship with a female pro wrestler who thinks she should be at the top, but she's not at the top and has to decide whether or not to force the issue, let's just say.
Oh, cool. Sounds great. So now, if you were to say, what are my biggest disciplines? Would writing be first, then acting, then directing?
I'd say acting first. Acting first. That's always what I wanted to be and what I was doing since I was a kid, and working in local theatres, amateur theatre, doing variety shows and pantomimes and musicals at the local Gladstone Theatre, which is where the Beatles once played before they were really big in the local town. And so acting's always number one, and that's my main training. I trained at Drama Studio London, which is where Forrest Whitaker and Emily Watson went to.
Well, obviously not the same years as you.
Not the same. Well, I do use moisturizer quite a lot, but you know, yeah. So acting's always number one, and then the acting actually informs the writing and the other elements. And I think also when I'm writing scripts, it does improve your acting. And I think it sounds very pretentious to say, isn't it? I hear a lot of people say it, but it's storytelling, and I see myself as a storyteller.
Who's there? The guy who's in the back.
This is becoming
the guy.
This is just
Put
so
him on the
hilarious.
show.
Yeah, I'm an action man, so I have lots of stuff going on in my flat all the time.
Do you make your home where you grew up, or you moved away from there?
So I'm currently in LA. I recently got my green card, so I've been working out here for the last year.
Congratulations.
But I'm, with the international world that we live in, it's very much, I have a base in the UK. I can obviously I don't know whether obvious, but a lot of auditions now are done via a self-tape where you film it and you send it off to the director or to your manager. So it's quite easy to audition for projects both sides of the Atlantic whilst being in one place. So I'll be in London soon for the London premiere of the Payday, and then come back, and then back to London, back to Liverpool for Christmas. So at the moment, I'm kind of going back and forth and doing that James Bond thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I have to ask you, this is such a random question, but is it true that you were taught Shakespeare by Patrick Stewart, who to me is like the sexiest man on the planet?
To me as well. Patrick Stewart, yeah, and I actually saw that he was on your podcast, was he not?
Yes.
So yeah, Patrick Stewart, that was a big turning point for me. Long story short, there was a group called the National Student Drama Festival in the UK. Every year they watch student productions and handpick some actors. You audition. I was one of those actors. I auditioned, I got in. So 15 actors, I think it was, got sent to this summer training school at the University of Huddersfield. And it was like a summer intense acting school. And we were getting taught by this wonderful guy called John Britton. And then one day there was a blank schedule. And we knew we were going to be doing some Shakespeare. And then they said, we've got a little surprise for you. We've got a guest teacher to come and teach you your Shakespeare. And then Patrick Stewart walked in. And it was a great lesson for me in terms of meeting someone on that level who's willing to talk to me and teach me and work with me. But also I discovered that, because I always thought that Patrick Stewart, with his eloquent voice, I always thought he was from a fairly well-off, maybe upper-class background, maybe from the south of England, but actually he's a northern lad from Huddersfield, working class upbringing. So I really related to that, and I thought, oh wow, all this time, like if this guy, obviously he's incredible, but it's if he can do it from the town he came up in, then maybe I can do it as well. And it kind of shattered a lot of preconceived notions. So that was great.
Yeah. You could do accents though, right? You could do a Scottish accent, I think, and Irish accent.
I'm going to say yes to the Scottish because I've been impersonating football commentators. Accent has always been one of my skills. I think when I was a kid, I did a lot of impersonation. I would have my, whether it be Batman, He-Man, Thundercats, Hulk Hogan, whoever, I would always do their voice, and I'd get very annoyed if people say, if you were holding an action figure of an American superhero, then don't do your own voice. It's got to be American, not British.
So let's hear what Batman sounds like with an English accent.
Batman with that just does it. Well, hello, Robin. How's it going? Are we going to catch some bad guys today? Maybe something like this.
It's not as good.
Not as good. No.
Is it true that you used to? This is an IMDb thing, so I love doing this IMDb Mythbuster.
Yes.
Is it true that your mom owned a beauty salon and you would read Batman comics for fun? Yes.
Yeah. So my mum's she still is a hairdresser, and she still works in this place called Salon Michelle in Liverpool, and on the Wirral in Merseyside. And so when I was a kid, if she couldn't get childcare or whatever, or if I just had a day off, I sometimes would hang around in the hair salon, and there was a newsagent's just next door, and she would, when I got bored, she would send me over with a few coins, and I'd get a Batman comic usually, and I'd sit there reading it, and then whilst also listening to all these women under the hairdryer gossip about their husbands and their boyfriends, and they'd say way too much information to me for a little kid, but hopefully I learned something about the female psyche.
Oh yeah, and you were acting it all out too to the women as they were getting their hair dried.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
And here's another one I read about, that your grandfather was a private detective, a plainclothesman.
He wasn't a private detective. He was a CID detective. So he was working for Her Majesty's police force.
Wow.
Yeah, he was in the army. Then he became a policeman. Then he became a detective. And unfortunately, he died when I was 14. And I don't think he would have told me much of the nitty gritty and the kind of really dark tales that I'm sure he experienced. So I only have my imagination and a few little anecdotes to go from that, but it's I just can't even imagine what that was like. Being a detective in the 70s in Britain.
I feel a script coming on.
Well, maybe. There we go.
Wow, that would be very cool. And this is so random, but you worked at Walt Disney World, yeah?
Correct. I drove the Kilimanjaro safari ride in Animal Kingdom. So
so you weren't in any of the shows. You were
I wasn't in any of the
scenes.
shows. No, I was they were like, this guy act what? No, we're going to put him in a truck. He can drive the truck, and he can, well, to be fair, there was a lot of narration, so I do joke, but yeah, I wanted to be, because they look at your height and your physique, and I was going to be Tigger if I was going to be a costume character, which I was very impressed with. So I was disappointed I never got to play that role, but
How did you come to work at Walt Disney World? That is so random.
It was an international college program that Disney do, where they invite people who are studying in other countries, and I think they have a minimum quota of they have to fill the cast members with people from certain countries in the world. So I did that. It was a lot of fun.
Oh wow, yeah, that's great to put on the resume for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's getting me all these acting jobs now, Robin. That's just it gets me in there.
I bet. So what's coming out for you next?
Well, next up, I'm filming a role in a film called Bad Tenant in Florida next week. It's a film that I also wrote. It's a psychological thriller, about a dastardly lodger who terrorizes a woman after appearing to be a charismatic man initially. So that's the next thing I'm doing.
I feel like there's a running theme, Sam, through the things that you write.
Which is
like sexy con man gets the woman.
I like I like characters who aren't who they first appear to be. And I also like characters who either when you first meet them in a movie, you assume they are. Oh God. You hear that? No. At first, we assume as the audience that they're a really nice person and trustworthy, but actually it turns out they're not. Or conversely, when it's a character who comes off like a total dickhead, who seems to be self-centered and like all of the wrong things, but then as it goes on, they actually become a key helper or hero to the protagonist or whoever it might be. So I'm fascinated by that, appearances being different and you don't know what's going on underneath.
Interesting. So that's sort of like what's running through what you write for yourself as well.
Yeah, that, and I like underdogs, and I like defiant people, and people who I guess we're all fascinated by the people that do high risk things because they've been driven towards it, I guess, which is prevalent in the Payday big time.
Oh yeah. And how's Kyla doing?
Kyla's doing great. She's over in London, so I'm looking forward to seeing her when we see the premiere. So yeah, she's I mean, I wouldn't be where I am in my career without her. I just saw Ticket to Paradise with Clooney and Julia Roberts, and I thought I can see her and I doing a movie like that when we are in our more advanced years and kind of playing on the chemistry from the younger days.
Oh, that would be really cool. Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go to your plumber.
Oh yeah, that also sounds like an adult movie. So we're gonna if it's still in there, then whatever, it's fine. We're just riffing on it.
Yeah. It was so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you, Robin. I do mean it. I am honored to be part of the roster of people on Milling About. I love the podcast, and yeah, thank you for having me on.
I hope I get to meet you in person. Give you a big hug.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Take good care.
Bye, Robin.
Bye-bye.
Always news. Always refreshing. Always candid. Always milling about. Robin Milling delivers what celebrities are saying to you.